Okay, I'm calling this Synchronicity a short story. I just have way too many just things happening that seem like it started a while ago, started me on this path of self-discovery. One could say that I've been on this for a while, but just lately there's been even more things that have been happening that have been opening up to me. And it seems like it's been in conjunction with some different people that have came into my life lately. And then also myself opening up to some possibilities from the universe or my higher power, who I call the Great Mystery or God, whatever you'd like to prefer to call he, she, it. But yes, so I'm just going to share it. I'm going to ramble a little bit, and then you can tell me if there's anything you resonate with. But so this started about a month ago, okay? Those of you that know me know that I'm in recovery, right? I quit drinking alcohol and using drugs back in about 2005, and I haven't had a drink of alcohol since then. But I've had a couple short relapses with some painkillers, but that's beside the point, okay? I'm in recovery. I know a lot of people that are in recovery, and I was invited to an event about a month ago in Des Moines. I hadn't been to one for a while. It's basically like, in the 12-step program, we have sponsors. We can have a sponsor that helps us in our recovery journey. And my sponsor invited me there, and all the guys that are there are in a sponsorship tree, right? Like they're sponsored by somebody else that's there, and there's probably like 100 guys there. We have a speaker, and they speak on certain topics, relating to spirituality and recovery and just trying to be a better man. And there were some really good speakers there. My sponsor was there. And afterwards, I just asked him, what can I be doing to better my recovery, right? Because we always have issues we're dealing with or not dealing with. And he gave me a couple assignments, okay? One of them was to read a few pages from the Alcoholics Anonymous textbook, and then also to read this power card every day, okay? And so basically the pages he wanted me to read and this power card are just some prayers, right? And I've always had a little bit of a weird relationship with prayers and just a higher power and God in general. It's still evolving, okay? I didn't go to church when I was a kid. My parents didn't tell me I had to believe in this or that. They let me find it out for myself, I suppose. But I like prayer these days, okay? I actually think our thoughts are prayers usually, right? Like we're sending out energy or thoughts into the universe, whether we say them out loud or not. And like they can be negative, and those things can come true if we're sending out those thoughts or prayers a lot, or they can be positive, right? And these prayers are really just kind of prayers of asking for help, for guidance. That's what I believe in, that power of prayer, that asking for help is opening us up to receiving some wisdom and guidance from outside ourselves. Because that's my problem, is I think I can figure everything out myself, and I'll figure it out myself and fuck everybody else. If things aren't going my way, I'll just do it myself. But asking for help is a strength, right? I believe it's a strength, and it's not a weak person that asks for help, right? But so it was I think this assignment was just a way of opening myself up to this relationship with my higher power. And I'm thankful my sponsor did that. And I think that's what opened up these events of synchronicity. Okay. Was me starting to do these daily prayers. Okay. And also he asked me any resentments and fears that came up in my life to say these simple prayers. Something along the lines of, God, great mystery, whatever you want to call your higher power, the universe, remove these fears and show me who you'd have me be. Okay, just a simple little prayer. Or, God, remove these resentments and show me who you'd have me help today. So taking me out of myself and just trying to open myself up to guidance from a higher power, right? Something outside of myself was the key here that my sponsor helped just remind me to get back into that line of thinking. And so once I did that, he told me to do it every day, to say these prayers. And if you want to hear the exact prayers, I'll send them to you later. But so I just started saying them because I highly respect my sponsor. He is a very spiritual man and he's helped me a lot. And I want to be more like him. Let's just be honest. Like, he's calm, he's spiritual, he's very selfless, helps so many people in life. He's very successful as a businessman, but that's besides the point. Like, he's a successful human being. So I trust him. So I started doing this, every day, saying these prayers. And it was interesting because then just some growth opportunities started coming my way. And I believe in synchronicity. I believe that people show up in our lives and things happen for a reason at times. Okay? And whether it's of a higher power's doing or what, or, there is just the fact that we can take events that happen to our life and put the spin on them we want to, right? Anything that happens, we can find a positive to it, typically. But so after I started praying and reading these pages every day, I just started noticing that, so I took some notes here. I want to make sure that, so I started noticing that some things that I really wanted to do in my life for a while that I was falling short in, like I had the energy and the strength to actually start doing something, like taking some steps towards them. Okay. And the first one that I've struggled with forever is taking these sleep aids over the counter. All right. And I just felt like all of a sudden I had the strength to just be like, okay, I'm not buying these anymore. I'm going to tell a friend of mine to help hold me accountable. And I'm not going to take these anymore because I can see they're affecting my sleep and my mental health, I think. And so following through on that agreement that I haven't been able to, following through on that agreement to myself that I hadn't been able to in a long time really helped me feel better. Okay. If you want to raise your confidence and self-esteem, the first thing we can do is start following through on agreements we make to ourselves. Okay. And so I started doing that with with these sleep aids that I've been trying to quit forever. And I did it. And I do believe that some of the strength came from my higher power and these prayers. And of course, asking for help. I asked a fellow personal trainer, like, hey, I've been struggling with this for a long time. I want to not do this anymore. Can you ask me about this every week? And just knowing they were going to be checking in with me, I started doing that. So I started feeling a lot better. But then I do believe, just because I kind of started on this path of doing some things that I knew were good for me, but I'd been putting off, this podcast showed up. And it was all about reducing our screen time. Okay, I know I'm on a phone right now, but bear with me here. And this podcast just really spoke to me. And the main thing it said in the beginning was, I put some info in my stories about it, but it just said that we will spend 20 years on our phone. Okay, at like average screen time usage, we will have spent 20 years on our phone. And I'm just like, no, that's not how I want to live my life. I don't want to have spent 20 years on this phone. All right, so I put into place some of these practices from this podcast. And like I said, it's in my story. If you want the episode, I will send you the link to it. It's Mel Robbins and with this Dr. K guy, but they just gave some, it had all the information you'll ever need to know on why it is pretty darn important to start looking at your phone usage and take some steps to make sure you're using it intentionally. But so I did that right away. The night I listened to it, I was like, okay, I'm putting my phone in another room, plugging it in out of my bedroom, and at 7 o'clock at night. Versus where I used to just scroll it until I went to bed at night, usually till night. But so I did that, and the other thing was just to not get on your phone for at least the first hour of the day. For nothing. Don't use it for an alarm. I set my alarm, but I usually get up without an alarm anyway on my phone. Just as a backup, I set my alarm. But so I haven't been getting on my phone for the first hour of the day, even longer some mornings. And I've been finding other things to do that are much more productive than being on my phone. So it's been another breakthrough. It's something I've known deep down that I am definitely using that phone to suppress emotions or just numb boredom. And when there's a lot better ways I can be spending my time. So I've been starting to do that, but the really interesting thing that happened just recently is that he did say, this expert on phones, Dr. K, was like, you will have some negative emotions come up because we suppress so many of them. I do this. I have over the years with the phone. Like anytime we're feeling a negative emotion or bored, we'll just go to the phone and open it up. And if you do that for a long time, there's going to be some shit that comes up. And what I realized this week as I've been using my phone less is that I started noticing that. I started noticing some feelings. They weren't all negative. There were some feelings of liberation too. Like, wow, like I don't have to get on that phone if I don't want to. I can use it for business and I can use it for things. But now, I've still been using it each day between my morning and evening guardrails that I've put up. But I'm trying to get everybody to listen to this podcast because whether they go all in like I am, like there's some things that I think everybody needs to hear about how these phones are affecting us and our kids. Okay? But so anyway, like I've been feeling some different things just from not being on the phone as much. And then this morning I had this Zoom call with some other friends of mine. And I had this feeling of sadness. I didn't know what it was. And I could just tell that I needed a good cry. And I started talking about my boys and then spending time with them this weekend. And I thought it was sadness, that I was super sad and lonely, that I was leaving them, they live in Iowa City 3 hours away. But as I drove, I realized after talking to these other fathers that I know, it wasn't sadness, it was joy. Okay, this joy that I was this father, that I'm being this father for my boys, that my dad wasn't for me. It's all I've ever wanted really to be for them, is because I love my dad, R.I.P. He did the best he could, but he died from alcoholism. And he was a beautiful, talented man. And when he was sober, he was a very cool human being, but he just couldn't conquer it. And it's sad. So there is sadness there, but then there's this joy and gratitude that I was able to learn from him that I wanted to do things differently with my boys. But so being able to feel those emotions, all the emotion, I think I've been feeling more emotions from this cascade of events that opened up from my sponsor telling me to pray daily. And those prayers gave me some strength and more open-mindedness to do some things and to do some things that I knew I wanted to do for myself. But then also the cool thing is that these emotions that I started having that I was suppressing at night after a long day of work, just getting on my phone and scrolling mindlessly and not thinking about being lonely or not thinking about being anything, right? But now some of these emotions I've been feeling. And it's a good thing. Like that cry, I felt so good crying. Okay? And I want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Lauren, who is this coach that I started following on Instagram, because she will post things like this a lot about her life and these things she's going through that have nothing to do with health and fitness. And at times I'm like, wow, that's out there. But it's been empowering for me because I believe she's being authentic and she's putting things out there that can help people besides health and fitness. Like she is in the health and fitness space, but she coaches people in lots of other areas too. And we all have these things we're going through in life. And other people can learn from what we're going through, I believe. I guess what I'm saying is be open to trying some different things. And definitely listen to that podcast from Mel Robbins, Before You Waste Time. It's called, I think, is the title of it. But I don't know, what other events have you noticed in your life at times that seem like synchronicity or very coincidental? If something really is like, oh my God, that's such a coincidence that I thought of that person that I haven't talked to in 10 years and then they show up somehow or they call, or like there's all I know is that there's just, since I've been doing these things, that's the thing, is like the two things that I've changed, the behaviors that I've changed was stopping to I'm not taking those sleep aids at night, which I believe I'm sleeping better, which means I'm dreaming and processing my emotions better while I'm sleeping. That opened me up a little bit, but also opening myself up to a higher power or something outside myself to help and show me how to change. Part of the prayer is to remove my defects of character so I can better serve other people. And I believe that's happening. I believe it's been happening over the last month. And so, I don't know, prayer works is what I'm here to say. It's up to you to decide how you pray, who you pray to, and all this. But it's really been, I don't know. I don't know if I did a great job describing what's happened in the last month or so, but it just seems like all these light bulbs are going off because I'm doing the right thing. Basically, that's what it's showing me, is cutting these things out of my life that are, see, that's the funny thing, is taking those sleep aids and then even the phone, getting to where I'm using my phone more and more. Both of those things, I started with a healthy relationship with them, right? And like I thought they were helping me get more sleep, or the phone was helping me in lots of ways, and it can be helpful, right? We're not going to eliminate our phone totally, but it got sideways, right? The habit got sideways to where now it's more just, it's not constructive the way I was using it. And I want better for myself. right? I deserve better than just going through life and getting up first thing in the morning, getting on my phone, and just being on just letting that phone dictate everything I'm doing. And it's just so weird, just like making sure that I don't get on there in the morning. Just the things I've been finding to do have just been simple things. Like there's always things we need to be doing. Laundry, shower, maybe do a little bit of cooking or something in the morning, that usually what would happen is the phone would take 45 minutes to an hour of my time if I got on that early in the morning, and then everything else was rushed to jam it in, with any time that's left, because this thing is taking way too much time. And then the rest of my time is very rushed and hurried and less intentional. That's what this whole thing, now I feel like I am once again choosing more how I want to spend my time. I chose to make this video because I thought that I've been learning some things that it's valuable enough to share with people. Maybe only one person will listen to it and get something out of it, but I wrote a lot of notes about it, and I'm gonna talk to more people about it because there's something going on here, and it's something good. I'm on a good path. I guess the last thing I'll leave you guys with is just ask yourself, are you happy with your relationship with your phone, right? If you get on there and scroll at night, are you like, yes, that's how I want to be spending my time? That fills my cup, right? I don't think most of us are like, my phone is filling my cup. So if that's the case, be open to doing something different, right? And check that podcast out. If you have any questions about anything I said, reach out to me. Love you guys.